Time we saw Will, he is wrapped up in a magically burning cocoon of plasma spider silk, and he just lost his attuned psychic connection with the spelljamming helm that has burst into flames. So before we do anything else, Will, I need you to roll 1d4 for me, please.
Oh.
I love contextless dice rolls. It's my favorite thing.
They make you so
nerve-wracking at all.
Oh dear.
Did that not go?
What we have.
There we go.
2. All right. Upon the psychic magical connection of the Northwest being severed from Will, he immediately takes 3 levels of exhaustion, having his speed halved, disadvantage on all ability checks, and disadvantage on all attack rolls and saving throws. Just as a quick reminder, 6 levels of exhaustion is death.
Yeah. So,
it is. Just cool. Keep those things in mind. The exhaustion hits you, and we're also going to do a quick...
But wait, there's more.
6 points of magical fire damage as the cocoon burns you.
Okay.
This cocoon is invisible, right?
Well, it's visible, but there's nobody in the room with him, so nobody knows where he is or what's going on. And there's also the insane cacophony and major problem of your wooden, magical, but still wooden ship is very, very on fire. So we're going to go clockwise around here so that, because I'm a horrible person, we get to Tucker last. We'll start with Lockridge. You have just butted your blunderbuss and caved in the head of the plasma spider in front of you. It now lies dead and motionless at your feet, as well as you see the last remnants of swarming insects smashed under the heavy cast iron skillet of Lana in front of you. You're standing in the doorway to the mess hall. You can see that there is one group of crewmen that's dealing with a large fire, but there is quite a bit of fire. The officers' tables are engulfed in flames. Also, just as a general note, for everybody below deck and above deck, think of a really foggy day. You have about 30 feet of visibility before the smoke clouds your vision. This is also something that you're breathing in, which means everybody on the ship has the poisoned condition, meaning disadvantages on skill checks and attack rolls.
If I say I'm a heavy smoker, does that do anything for me, or does that mean that every roll I have to make is a disadvantage, whether or not there's
you're a heavy smoker. Oh, you're also dead. You're just dead.
I
gotta get Lockridge there anyway.
It's good for you. It's like exercise.
Right. Okay.
It's not.
No. So
what I can see Is it mostly the furniture and stuff that's on fire?
At this point, from where you're standing, well, I'll tell you what. Let's say this: if you just take one step out of that room, you can see that the floor and the furniture is mostly what's on fire here. But immediately to your right, the deck you're standing on, as well as the roof of the cabin, which is the deck of the main deck of the ship, is on fire, and the fire has actually broken through the ceiling a little bit. That's a part of what is burning the spelljamming dais that the helm sits on up above you.
All right. Cool. All right, listen, men and women and giant rather spider creatures. All right, everyone needs to lend a hand. Grab all the furniture into the man quarters and out of the freaking door, all right? Right now. Make a chain gang and you pass it on. As I'm going to start by running over here, picking up the table that's like the most on fire, like underneath that that like kind of column of flame. And I'm going to rush out and then hurl the table out into space.
Ooh, I like that. So we'll say that, you are able to take care of that. That is with that series of actions. We got one pillar of fire here that you are able to take care of. You will take 3 points of fire damage just during, just little burns and scrapes and scratches and things like that as you do so.
Yep.
Absolutely. We have one bit of fire that is taken care of.
Cool.
That will take us to Lockjaw. You are on the top deck. You actually have a pretty nice little fire control group. But I mean, you immediately assess the fact that your spelljamming helm is on fire. The runes, the magical runes that are on this dais, that are carved into the dais, are no longer alight with their magical energy.
Okay. And it is currently still on fire, right?
Yes, you still have sort of two main bits of fire that you're dealing with in front of you there.
Bejabbers, get the crew to get this fire down to a reasonable flicker, and we gotta save our helm. So I kind of want to command the crew to still focus in on the big fires in front of me, and maybe I'm focusing on saving the helm.
Fantastic. Make a performance check for me.
Sure. All right. I heard a roll. That's a 9.
It's a 9. Things are pretty shook with everybody that's going on right now. So you do the commands, and they're definitely working at it. But it seems like, you think what it is that this group of folks, the dire straits that this is in, sort of registers to them. And as you are dealing with the one in front of you, you are able to kind of knock it down a little bit.
Yep.
And you take 4 points of damage in dealing with it.
Okay. All right.
How is Lockjaw looking?
Yeah, look, not good. yeah, not good. I'm on 2 HP.
I think he's pretty bit and burned at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
Alrighty. Oh, I know it was a 9. But I do believe that.
Yes.
I do believe that I need a second of that performance check for you.
Okay.
Because it is at disadvantage.
Ah, okay.
Okay, yeah. So we'll keep the 9.
It's the 9.
Alrighty. Ruin, you're just sort of right at the top of the stairs there as you start to rush down. Smoke is billowing up the stairwell. There's no fire directly in front of you, but you can definitely, that you're sort of walking into the belly of this fire.
Just move, see, what's it, 5, 10, 15, 20. Each square is 5 feet?
Yeah.
Move closer to the fire. I do have a question.
Yes.
What effect
Oh.
in this game does Thunderwave have on fire?
Ooh. I would love to find out.
Throw out all the... We're about to get more portholes.
Why don't you tell me?
I would
Captains
love
come
to
down.
find
We're all
out.
just riddled with furniture.
Absolutely. Tell you what, you let me know what you want to do with that. I think it's a great idea. I like this plan, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And we'll find out what happens.
It's close to the closest fire to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, super quick, Ryan. We have just gotten an insight bonus from our audience, Roverjix. Which means that we get a helpful piece of information about the situation that we're in.
Thanks,
the helpful piece of situation. So I will say this: the helpful bit of information that dawns on everybody that is below deck right now, which will be Ruin and Lockridge.
Will, you're just not here
is
anymore. We're dead. You're dead. Just. I said Will's just dead at this point. Like it's fine.
I mean,
where he is.
Mostly dead.
Limbo.
Actually, from where he was standing, he would have seen this. So this will cross Will's mind as he burns.
Thanks, Ryan.
The fire really seems to be the hottest and the worst right here. If you see where that bit of flame is that's on top of this little hatch that's on the ground, it looks like that's where the fire is the worst. And you know that below that hatch leads into stowage and where like the rudder is controlled from and the ballast is kept. So there is another, very shallow, only like 5 foot tall, lower deck to all of this. And it dawns on you that is where the fire started, and that is where the fire must be the worst.
Okay. Wow, that's quite helpful.
So with that in mind, we are thunder waving, as long as that's what you want to continue to do, and finding out what it does.
Yeah, the closest fire that I can get to.
And what's the area of effect of thunder wave? It's a 10-foot cube.
Is it 10?
15 foot.
Yeah, 15.
5, 10, 15. It's a 15-foot cube. So you can actually you can find a way to center that cube. It will catch this group of crewmen, but will also catch all 3 of these gouts of flame with where you are.
I'll just scream duck and cover.
Alrighty. Go ahead and roll the damage for Thunderwave. We'll see how much it does.
14
damage. Fantastic. So we're going to spread that out. I was looking for a 10, just to let you know what I was looking for. So the fact that it did that, you see the smaller bit of, and when I say small, I mean like it's enough to encompass like a large, oversized like recliner. This is not a tiny little trash can fire, but this smaller bit of fire that's in front of you goes out, and the smaller one that's over by Lana goes out. There is the larger bit of fire seems to be knocked down quite a bit, and you see the group. They hunker down behind the large beam that's in the center here. But you see that it does catch them quite a bit, and so there might be like a broken leg or a sprained elbow or something like that. They did not get out of that unscathed, but it seems to overall have done quite a bit of good. And you did not, in fact, interact directly with any of the fire, so you don't need to take any damage.
Woo!
All right, that brings us to Will.
Yep.
Alrighty, so it is your turn. Go for that.
So, first question is, on this ship, where do we store the water that we drink on these long trips?
Any of the like stowage areas have barrels full of water, and then Lana, who it seems you would guess in D&D terms is probably a druid. Lana sort of crafts a lot of simple, not very good food and plain drinking water. She is not like the main source of water. So in the kitchen area and then any of these storage bits, as that crosses your mind, the stowage in the bottommost deck is where most of the rations and water and food and rum and supplies are kept.
Is there a specific room in the lower decks where the water is mostly kept?
It would be spread between pretty equally. And if you like, or Tucker, you can see it. If you glance over there, any of that towards the bow at the most, or the port side with lots of where lots of that storage is, you would guess that that's where most of the water is probably being kept. It's the most amount of storage.
Okay. I'm going to do something that might be a very bad idea.
Sure.
I forgot.
Because Will is smart enough to know these things, but doesn't necessarily have the wisdom to think these things through necessarily on a spur of the moment thing. So a lot of the fire is is coming from the lower stowage. And how you put out fires is you often want to get the base of it as wet as possible, as quickly as possible.
I'm following you.
So Will gets hit by 3 levels of exhaustion.
Yes.
And sort of falls to a knee, closes their eyes, hits the ground, and they're going to try to misty step down and to the port side where they know water barrels are.
Give me 1 second.
You want to really be on top of the distancing as well, because otherwise.
Yeah.
So
Eat myself into space.
it is so the spacing, and I counted the spacing out. So you are technically less than 30 feet away from that spacing. However, it is an unoccupied space that you can see. So unfortunately, you cannot teleport out down to a lower deck.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I love the idea. I love the idea
to know this area, or if you need to see it.
Yeah,
okay.
It is a visual.
Well, let's see here.
So you can see everything that's in this room, and 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You can basically see out into the hallway, basically to the base of the steps. Between walls and smoke, that's about as far as you can see.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm restrained in flaming webs, and exhausted, so Will doesn't trust themselves to be able to break out of that very easily. So Misty Step is still happening.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do it.
But it's just going to be effectively right out the door.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and move yourself to where you Misty Step.
So, to there.
Nice. So you do, in fact, you Misty Step. That's your action. The webbing that is stuck to your body, Misty steps with you.
I
But
was really hoping that wouldn't be the case. Am I still restrained or just on fire?
You are still restrained. You're still entangled in it. It's the same ruling. I looked it up from Jeremy Crawford. It's the same ruling. You can Misty step in a net, but when you reappear, you are still caught in that net because it travels with.
So what I'm hearing is
well,
we've got
that's-
beef with Jeremy Crawford now. We're coming for you, buddy.
So
yeah.
So Jeremy, anytime you would like to guest on an episode of the Northwest, the Flight of the Northwest, we would love to have you on.
What I'm hearing is we have to beat him in order to beat the rule. It's like
So-
once
Jeremy
he-
Crawford, you are now the big bad.
So Will was really hoping that was going to work.
Yeah. So I think
didn't.
you Misty step. That's your action. You have no movement. You
That's
have
my
bonus
bonus
action.
action.
That's your bonus
No,
action.
Misty
Gotcha.
Step's a bonus action. So with that, Will's going to take their action to try and get them out of the webbing, out of the flaming webbing.
Sure. I do believe that will be a strength check, which is at disadvantage.
Yeah, good old strength checks.
And just to be transparent, it's not easy. We're looking for a 15.
Mate.
Yep.
Mate.
Will's having a rough day. Unfortunately, that won't.
I am going to use knowledge from past life to add a d6 to that.
Okay. To
Because
the
that's-
lowest one, which is an 11. So roll your d6.
Yep, so I need a 4. That's a 4.
Oh,
4. All right.
well done.
Fantastic. So, couple of things. You will take your 9 points of fire damage as you get out of it.
Okay.
But you are out of it. So we're going to scoot you to the side there. Which narratively is nice in this very fast moment. Ruin, you sort of see Will tumble out of this sticky gossamer contraption of magical fire and maybe doesn't collapse to the floor. Narratively, you don't have to spend to get up or anything like that. All your movements already happened. That will happen. I also now need you to please roll a percentile for me.
Yeah, right.
And I need to know
Percentile.
if it is now 90 or above instead of 95.
That's a 77.
All right, cool. That sounds great.
I'm nervous about this. Do I still have my movement since I am no longer restrained?
So your Misty Step was your bonus action. Your action got you out of it. I would say, yeah, you still have your movement, but do remember that you only have 20 feet of movement.
Oh, I think I have 15 if my movement's halved.
No. You have 15. You're right, 15.
And technically, I guess did I get that 5 feet getting out of the web for free, or is that 5 feet of my movement?
No, you still have 15. That was me narratively moving you. I'm not going to take
Okay.
that 5 feet from you.
So yeah, Ruin, I guess, just sees Will stumble down the hallway looking like absolute dog shit behind him.
Nice.
And just in a raspy voice, saying something incoherent about barrels downstairs.
Okay. Yeah, we'll say that you hear barrels downstairs. What no one else sees, except the audience, is the strange, larger than everything else, white plasma spider, the one that was acting so weird and was able to shoot this flaming webbing that was in the room with Will, goes invisible.
Far out.
But None of the players know that. That was for the audience only. We are well and truly, as far as any of the players are concerned, now out of combat completely. So we'll just say I don't really care what order any of this goes in, but everyone needs to act once before anyone acts a second time. How would we like to deal with the rest of the ship being on fire? Captain Grawl.
Oh, sorry. Super quick. We just got a donation from Miss Bowman, who has granted inspiration to every single player. Ryan, and has also purchased a magic item for us.
Oh my, that is fantastic.
Okay.
Ooh, that was...
Is it a fire extinguisher?
Yeah,
Miss
a
Bowman,
giant fire
absolutely.
extinguisher.
Bottomless
Magical fire extinguisher.
A blanket.
Wow. Miss Bowman, that is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, so just know that you have inspiration, so you have yourself a advantage that you can roll at any point tonight. I don't care when you use it. You have to use it this episode. As well as the same for me. So that invisible giant boss spider now has advantage on something. Sweet.
What invisible ghost?
Yeah,
spider?
what invisible ghost spider, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Just before we get into the end of combat, I guess, because like the crew was given the orders of like starting that chain gang to get the furniture out. Do they make any progress on that before we get to that stage?
Yeah. Let's say so. There's a crew that's there. There's another crew member that's there. Yeah, we're gonna say that with the with the orders coming down from our quartermaster, indeed, 2 more of our large bits of fire are completely taken out. And that are going on in the main deck here. And one of the bits of fire that is on the top deck gets taken care of. So, and that doesn't need to... There. So there's that you can see there are 2 fairly large fires that are still happening, and 1 small fire in the on the second deck. And on the top deck, Lockjaw is still dealing with 1 smaller fire, but Lockjaw has about 12 crewmen that are there able to assist you with that. So Lockjaw, you can continue to deal with it, or you think maybe you might be able to let them deal with it if you give them orders as you go. But yeah, Michael, good call. Yeah, 2 more of those fires are taken care of.
Okay.
Nice.
So Lockridge is going to now I don't want to offend poor Lana, but does Lana shoot web as well?
She does not. That is not her type.
All right, very well. Now I still had that that hammock that I threw on the ground when I was putting out the fire here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Yeah, that one's out. But yeah, you still have a half a hammock. Sure.
Cool. And so what I want to do is I want to take the hammock and I want to sort of dip it in the toilet water, like the huge basin that's here. And what I want to do is I want to sort of cloak myself. And 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I want to get to here and I want to start, like, I want to basically throw open the hatch and get ready to kind of go down and try to put out the fires down below. But use the use the wet hammock as a kind of like a fire blanket.
Oh, I love it. Sweet. There is a large bit of that, and as you stand there, you can tell that not only the reason the fire is so bad here is that it's burned through some of the deck. So you can either try to jump down the hole, or you can deal with the fire that's here to try to put it out, or you can open that hatch and try to get down there. The fire is bad enough that if you
Oh, actually, you know what? If it's actually broken through, I'm gonna stomp on the actual hatch hoping that it's carbonized enough that it plus the fire, because the wood's obviously acting as the fuel.
Yep.
I want to basically crush it so that they tumble down into the lower area as well.
Sweet. We're gonna do a couple things. One, make a strength check with disadvantage and advantage. So just make a straight roll.
Yep. Right.
And that's your ability. That's not you using your advantage from Bowman.
Yep. Ooh. Can I use my Miss Bowman's advantage on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that one. 10!
There it is. Perfect. A 10 is what you need.
Yes!
Now, this is... You do, in fact, collapse through. You get down below. The fire is so hot with your blanket. We are still going to take flame damage, but because of your fireman's blanket, it will be halved.
Nice.
So, that is a 2 points of fire damage. As you break through below, so I'm going to move your token down to that lowest deck real quick. As you break through and find yourself in the ballast deck, you are made aware of just how bad things are. Essentially, this entire deck is engulfed in flame. It is not great for your situation. But you can see that this is clearly where everything seems to have started. But yeah, we'll say that jumping up and down. Let's see, how much did you move? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So that was your 30 feet of movement, and then we'll say that you're jumping up and down and busting through and getting all that was your action. So yeah, you're down here. You will take half damage from interacting with any of the fire, and you can see just how bad things are down here.
All right. In case it wasn't clear, I'm going to take a big, deep breath before I jump down, just so that, at this point, I'm holding my breath.
Okay. I'm not going to keep track of rounds. What is your Constitution modifier?
16.
No, your modifier.
Oh, sorry. 16. No, 3.
3. You can... I'm not going to keep track of rounds 6 seconds at a time. You can hold your breath for 3 minutes.
Okay, cool.
So narratively, when we feel like that has taken up, you'll need to take yourself a breath.
That's nice.
Okay. That's Lockridge. Who's up next?
Well, I feel like I'm just focusing on the helm right now.
Sweet.
Am I able to, as I am already quite burnt, am I able to use my mage hand and my blanket to kind of just smother the helm? So that I am not actually using my body to put out fire. I mean, Lord knows I would, but
5 pounds and a blanket. Make a dexterity check at disadvantage.
Okay.
No, make it off of your spell casting. So your charisma. Make a charisma check at disadvantage.
Okay. All right.
Oh. Okay, so 17.
So the lowest
17 is not bad.
Nice. This is interesting.
Between you physically helping and your mage hand doing this for you, the other 3 managed to take out that other one. You are able to put this fire out. The mage hand helps protect you a little bit, so you will take the fire damage, but it is halved.
Okay. Do I die? Oh,
2
no.
points.
I'm down to 1.
So
And then I will order someone to get me a stiff drink. I might actually just kind of like collapse and motion to a crew member to get the flask on me belt. Oh, lad, Lockjaw's ready for the spit now. If you don't get me a drink to cool me off. Because basically, I need to drink heavily now for my plan to work.
Alrighty. Yeah, you're able to get that.
Bring it to me, lips, lad.
It seems to you like they're sort of dealing with what it is that's going on. It seems to you that actually these guys, you know what? You don't know. Maybe they are taking your orders as they all 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 do start to run below deck.
Okay. Well, maybe just as I think I'm down for the count now, and I might just get my flask my own damn self. But I think we can just assume that might be Lockjaw's action, is just kind of slowly, getting to his belt and fumbling with the lid with the very, very tremulous hands.
Sure. So yeah, we'll say you sort of lean back against the door, the cabin doors that are right behind you as you sort of burned and barely hanging on to consciousness, breathing in the smoke, looking at your destroyed spelljamming helm as you get yourself a bit of a drink. And you know what? Just because I'm a mean person, Ellen, call me evens or odds.
Evens.
Evens?
Yeah.
On a 2,
Yay!
you do still have a little bit of whiskey still left in your
Yay!
Right. Rune and Will, who's up next?
I'll go next. Is drinking a healing potion a bonus action or a full action?
It's an action, I believe.
Okay. I was not sure. Alright, well, with that being the case, Will's going to just slumping against walls, basically, stagger into the room. What's with that background? Appropriate, I suppose.
That's great.
As they pass Ruin, just sort of drifts a hand across his shoulder and casts guidance on Ruin.
Oh, nice.
So you've got a D4 on your next skill check if you want it. And as they sort of get into the room, shouting over towards Lana, dear, now that there's less problems, can you create some water?
She sort of breathing heavy, nods, and you see her start to. Oh, let's see if she has that. Does she have that prepared today?
Yes.
Does she have create food and drink? She doesn't have create food or drink. So yeah, she actually sort of just is breathing heavy and says, "Well, I'm real sorry, but didn't know it was needed today." And like stomps on one last little centipede with her little spiny spider leg, grinds it into the ground. This is the first time that she's gotten to talk, so it's fun. There are 2 Southerners on board.
I don't think any of us could have predicted today was going to look like this.
All right, Ruin, that'll take us to you.
Let's see. I will. Is there any water at all in the kitchen? I'm gonna go.
There's a barrel. There's essentially like a 5-gallon, like a carboy of water there for any given moment. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna 5, 10. Basically, come over to the kitchen area, grab that up, and just like because I've got a water flask on me. All of the liquid I have, try and put out this little fire here.
Yeah, absolutely. What was that? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Yep, that'll do it. You grab that carboy. You're able to get that one taken care of. It goes out, and you will take 4 points of little, scrapes and burns and blisters as you put it out. But now the fire in the immediate area, there's still a little bit that's left over by the trap door, and you can see that it looks like there is something in the engineering room, your sort of little back corner where all of the artificer engineering stuff is. It looks like that place also has some fire going on.
And I'll just kind of yell, get all the water from everywhere.
Yeah, and you can see that is that seems like as you grab that, other people start to have the exact same idea.
Raid the turlets.
One other really quick thing, just like with the smoke filling the air, Will's gonna send Prince away until things are less smoke filled.
Do you dispel Prince, or does he just fly up to the top deck?
There's not much air up there right now, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, no, it is. It's the whole envelope. So okay.
Yeah, dispel.
Alrighty, 5, 10, 15, 30. And, with a double action, the captain runs up, and as she runs past, you hear her yell, "You heard our new ensign? Let's get these fires out, gentlemen." And the captain jumps down the hole that was created, and lands next to you, Lockridge. Okay, that's everybody. So now it's up to Grady. We don't have to keep going in the same order. It's up to everybody else.
Can I drink heavily and regain some HP?
Does drinking give you hit points back?
Because I have the amulet of drunkenness. The amulet of the drunkard.
That is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, go ahead.
Great. Okay, I can regain 4d4 plus 4. I don't... Oh, did it roll? Oh! I'm back, baby. I'm back. Great. So, I kind of bring the flask to my lips, drink it down, and then just let out a bellow of all right, I'm coming down. Let's get this ship back in order. And I want to run down. I can probably just get down to the next level. Where are the stairs?
Other side of the ship.
Balls.
So you can get a little bit ahead of where this other group is at a double movement. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to drink, yell with the fire now from the whiskey in my belly, and rush past the crew, kind of yelling at them, "What are you waiting for? Move, move, move!"
Yeah, absolutely. And as you rush, they do this. They do the same, and they take off running. You see them slip down the stairs.
Nice.
All right. Looks like we've got a plan of attack going on here. Who's up next?
All right. So from below deck, Lockridge sees the captain. He says, "Well, nice of you to join us. As you can see, we've got things very well in hand."
Absolutely fantastic. Mr. Lockridge, I'll be heading back upstairs then. It seems like you have everything under control.
I feel like sarcasm is one of those languages the gift need to teach to other races. All right. So, all right. Well, this is a lot of fire. I'm going to go start making my way towards some of the water barrels. Actually, while you're here, do you know how long it's going to take before we're at port?
Well, we were heading towards the edge of the system to make to the astral sea before anything else and not have to really worry about that. But I think this has complicated things quite a bit. And she breaks off as you go towards one bit of fire and barrels. She breaks off towards this other one to deal with it.
Cool. I'm going to actually move through the fire and over to the water barrels on this side of the building, or this side of the port side.
Okay.
And what I want to do is I want to basically take out a barrel, and I want to use my hippo teeth to like puncture the wood in like little like holes in the barrel. And then I want to basically just start, like, swinging it above my head, like, basically this sprinkler kind of thing.
I love it. Great. Take 1 point of damage, 2 points of damage, one each, for moving through the other fires. And that was, the half is already done, so it's just 2 points. And then we'll say as you spray all of that around, it takes care of this little one. And it's 15. It's 15 away. Yeah, it takes care of that. It takes care of that littler one. You've got that done, and you've got about half the barrel left.
Cool. Yeah, that's all I can do at the moment. So yeah, move, grab, and then start sprinkling around. Would it have made a difference if I'd moved up a little bit further?
If you move one more 5 foot, we'll say that you're able to get you're able to empty the barrel, and you're able to get that one knocked almost all the way down, not quite.
25, 30.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I will. I'll move. I'll move a little bit out, and I'll knock that one down a little bit. Yep. Cool. Yep. That's everything.
All right. The captain goes. She's able to take care of some of the fire. Takes a little bit of singeing while she's at it. Ruin and Will.
All right. Will is going to sort of slouch to wall and then slouch over to the table, sort of leaning very heavily on it. Opening sort of the outer layer of their jacket, there's 3 vials sort of sewn into the lining, and he takes one of them and will drink a healing potion. Nice.
Okay. Make a perception check for me, please, at disadvantage.
It's a disadvantage. Why wouldn't it be?
Well, don't forget you have your inspiration as well.
Yeah.
You do, so you can cancel it out if you want.
Well, there's a -1. A natural 1, excuse me, but with the -1, that's a 0. Sure, I'll use my inspiration and reroll that. Why not? This will be fun. Perception. So that is a 9.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Ruin, that takes us to you.
Well, one other quick thing.
Yes.
Sort of under their breath, since there's no one immediately next to them, we'll just say, Dannon, I don't ask for a lot, but we could probably use some help right about now.
Okay. Okay.
That's it. That's what we got.
A warlock whispering under their breath is rarely a good thing.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
How many times have I told you, don't call space gods to help?
Only your mother. And even then, she can't help you now.
All right.
Who's going next?
Ruin, that takes us to you.
Seeing the group of people that just came running down, yelling at them, find all the water on this deck that you can, get everything out on this deck. And I will See, is there? I still got the carboy or a pot or a pan or something. I want to
Yes.
run into this turlet and fill it up with water.
Got it.
And then some of those are right there. 5, 10, 15, 20. And then come back out here, making my way back around. And kind of like...
Got it.
Not that visible, but like... There's water in here.
That you've got it. Yeah, no.
Do what
absolutely.
I'm doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it certainly seems that they've all just run down. That these folks are all sort of following your lead as best as they can to get some of these taken care of. And actually, between this group and Villia, the large bit of fire that's over the trapdoor is taken care of. The fires in the engineering room seems to be they are being dealt with. They're getting lesser. It's still on fire. It looks like below deck in the ballast deck and engineering are the only places where there are active fires still.
But that's good.
Okay. That'll take us to, let's see, 10, 15, 30, 40, 45. That is... you actually see you see Lana sort of skitter and crawl, and it's very, you have not been aboard this ship. She's right next to you, and she's coming towards you, and then she sort of goes horizontal, and half of her legs are on the ceiling, and the other half are on a post, and she skitters across the top of the ceiling and then finishes her barrel roll as she slips through the door into the engineering room, and you see the last bit of fire flicker out in the engineering room. So our ballast deck is all that is left. The captain takes care of her bit of fire and moves to try to deal with the other one. She'll take... another 2 points of damage. The captain will action surge, take care of the second one, taking another 2 points as we are dealing with the fire down below. So it seems like the fire on the top deck and the second deck has been dealt with, and things are just left down in the ballast. And so Lockridge, why don't you tell us what you're doing? And I think after, let's hear what it is that you have to say.
All right. So Lockridge, when he came through, would he have seen the other fires and where they were kind of currently?
Yeah, this big center section here where this chain is, that's the big open center section. So you would have seen those as well.
Okay. Cool. So rather than dealing with the small fire, Lockridge is going to move around to about here. And I'm going to try and throw the remaining half barrel at the fire that's there.
The larger one or the smaller one?
The larger one. Larger one.
Yeah, just make a straight up attack roll at disadvantage.
Very well.
You'll knock it down. We'll see how good the roll is to see if you're able to put the whole thing out.
Okay, so that is a 24.
Oh.
In a row. So yeah, you that barrel just shatters. It's got the holes from your tusks in it already, so it just shatters perfectly on the ground. And instead of knocking it halfway down, you take care of that huge bit of fire itself completely.
All right. Yeah,
That's
that's all I'll do. I'll basically need to get rid of the other one as well, but yeah, we're doing all right, I think.
Absolutely. So, at this point, you're all able to. The whole crew is right here. I don't know if you're making your way down to the below deck, but with the groups that are right next to the hatch being able to make it down as well, Lockridge and the captain, these fires in the lowest section managed to get themselves taken care of. Over the next 10 or 15 minutes, as everything sort of settles a little bit, as the immediate threat is out of the way, you're all able to sort of find there's a large crate down here in stowage that had provisions in it, but it is the most charred. And the fire on that one seems to have originated from inside of that box. And really sort of the best guess. Actually, anybody who wants to make a nature check.
I'm not down there, right? Again.
Well, enough time is we're gonna say this takes place over the next 10, 15 minutes. And so
okay.
Our position on the map doesn't need to really matter right now.
Sweet. Yeah. I'll give it a roll. Give it a go.
Yeah.
Could I use investigation?
No, not me.
Sure. Yeah, it'll just change the difficulty of it. Sure.
Oh, never mind. Disadvantage.
Yeah, these are all disadvantaged. Everybody remember, roll twice.
Well, I mean, I'm hardly going to get lower than a 7.
Oh, unless I use my guidance.
That's true. If you want to use the guidance, we'll say that 21 sticks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So as you're all sort of looking at this, Ruin, you actually think that you sort of recognize from something that you saw on the docks, a couple of years ago. You just think that this collection of oats and fruit and whatnot, your provisions that are in there, something in there had been infested, and this crate, because this voyage happened so fast. I mean, 12 hours to put a voyage together is ludicrous. So something just didn't get checked. It's not anybody's fault, but something didn't get checked as the ship was being loaded, and this huge crate, the size of a person, was probably just infested with whatever these weird critters are. And it looks like this burned from the inside out, wherever this thing hatched.
It's what happens when you just throw jobs together with no foresight.
So, over the next, we're going to have to go into some extended checks to repair the ship, but that's going to take quite a bit of time as we go forward. But before we move into those, I'll describe how those checks are going to have to go. Yes, they're all at disadvantages. It's going to be rough. You guys are in a very difficult situation. But before we get into those extended checks, I just want to give this to be a moment for all of you to check in with each other, check in with other crew members, and that kind of stuff, and let this be sort of a little bit of a nice, more of a role play session of what's happening.
I might, to Ruin, Lockjaw might say, that was some fine work. You're right.
I mean, I got the job. I guess I should do it. Kind of glares at everybody.
What? You did fine work. Just shows that you can step up. That's the things that we need. We need keen eyes and people who are just willing to do the work.
Well, thank you.
I would be honored to share a drink with you. And he claps him on the back.
Lurch forward.
What are your hit points at?
I just die.
I kill him.
Will, who is still just sort of been slumped at this on a chair at this table, since he sort of sat there, at that sort of waves over and gestures at the empty seats next to him.
Mhm.
If you want, these are comfortable enough.
Right, well, don't get too comfortable, mate. Alright, there are plenty of holes in the ship, and we've just burnt through all of the wood supply. I take the chairs, and I start breaking them, and then I start handing them to like users like the fixing up the holes in the walls and the destroyed trap hole and stuff like that. Yes,
Right. Well, I suppose if we're working, Captain, do you want to take a look at the helm with me? See what that might need to get going again?
Yes. The Grawl will come up with you and say, yes, I think that's probably needs to be our first priority. So yeah, you guys can head up to the spelljamming helm itself.
And we're going to want to look at some maps to see if there's any way stations anywhere near us where we can repopulate the air pocket.
Yes, indeed.
Right, well, I had a bit of a thought on that. I mean, look, we're already on our way to the Astral Sea, as far as we can tell. Instead of looking for another port which might take us even further off course, what we probably could do is see if there's any planets within inhabitable atmosphere that we can actually soften some of it, so we can get rid of some of that toxic air and get some of the good stuff in.
Maybe even have a chance to replenish some of what we lost.
Oh, nice. That's fantastic. I like the idea of that one. Lockridge, make a survival check for me.
Right. Actually, I've got trained in survival, but am I still at disadvantage?
Yes.
Right, well. Oh, that's not good. Yep. Yep.
Did you reroll with your inspiration?
No, that is more disadvantage.
Oh,
That's more disadvantage. So,
Yeah.
Lockridge, as
dear.
he thinks that, he thinks this very clearly as an idea, but what he actually says is, alright, listen, we should crash land somewhere. All of the thoughts in his head are like, we can get oxygen, we can get supplies, but what he actually says instead is just, let's crash. That's
You can see me spit as I'm taking a drink from Lockjaw's. What?
Oi! That's perfectly good whiskey. Don't be wasting it. Is this too cruel? I shove your head back in there. In the whiskey that you spit on the table. Lap it up, boy.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's wonderful. I love every second of it.
With this craziness going on, Will is going to actually, if possible, excuse themselves from checking the helm, leave that to the captain to volunteer to look at any navigation charts or anything for any planets or ports or anything to repopulate the air bubble. Also, partially as an excuse to get some time away from other people.
Okay.
What do you mean?
So, before we run off and do this, so these are great ideas. We've got a bunch of different things. Will,
lend a hand.
up at the helm with the captain. This is going to be one of our first checks that we do here as we start to look at where it is that we need to go. So you and the captain are surveying the deck. I mean, in the chair, this sort of rounded, carved wooden, almost Norse throne that sort of is chained to the deck. You can see that half of it is just burnt. One of the arms has been burnt completely to charcoal and has collapsed. There are holes in the deck, in the dais that's there, and the magical runes that should be alight are gone. You also see that the when you look up the ring of magic plasma, the ring of magic fire that powers the ship moving forward and pretty much provides light on the entire deck, is gone. The top deck is bathed in darkness. At the bow, the little ball of blue nebula is just a blue marble ball the size of a basketball at the top. It seems that all of the magic that propels the ship is gone. And as you stand on the deck, there is still the gravity plane, but you can feel that the ship itself is drifting and is actually sort of corkscrewing as it drifts. So as you bring up the idea of with the captain, this place of navigation, we're gonna say that this is we need 3 successful checks before we get 3 unsuccessful checks. Now, you can tell me, we'll just do this one at a time. You tell me what skill you want to use, and that'll change the difficulty and sort of the way that you go about it. But as you and the captain in her quarters, she pulls out astral charts and all sorts of maps of realm space, which is where we still are, and all of that kind of stuff. Here is her map that she shows you. You tell me what skill it is that you want to use for this first extended check. This is going to be what you spend this first day doing.
Will is going to be using, let's say, investigation to try and find the proper map or records that might have something nearby that would be the most relevant and useful.
Okay. Makes sense to me. I believe, have you used your inspiration from Miss Bauman already?
Yep,
Okay.
I used it on the perception roll earlier, which I'm regretting.
So,
where are we in relation
I
to
need an
everything?
Yeah. Go ahead and make an investigation at disadvantage, please. And this is going to take you sort of the day to pour through these things.
And as Will's doing this, since they feel like absolute crap, Will be using guidance on themselves. Just every little bit helps.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So yeah, do your 2 rolls and then do an add a +4 to the lowest one.
Okay.
Or a D4, not a +4.
Where on the map?
Well, it's a +4.
Hmm?
Well, it's a 3, and this seems as good a time as any. I'm going to use my other knowledge from past life because this seems important. So I'm currently at 9.
Can you do that a certain number of times a day?
I can use it twice a day.
Okay.
So that was my last time using it today, but that brings it up to a 13 total.
So that just adds it on. The past life just adds?
Yep.
Okay, so with a 13, yeah. So as you sort of are looking at these charts and maps and all of that kind of stuff, you know that there is in realm space, there is sort of this, think of it like a Halley's Comet. There is this massive comet called Cathautic that passes through this system every so many years. It is sort of you have gone past where that is, but you have a feeling that you can sort of, if you can get the ship moving again under some sort of power, you can try to catch the path of this massive sort of moon-sized comet and try to skim its atmosphere to at least replenish the air envelope. And this thing is massive, the tail of the comet, there's all kinds of mystical ethereal magical things that live in in the comet trail, and things like that. So the ship is not under power yet, but you think if you can get it under power, you might be able to aim for this with one success. It's a maybe. We'll need 2 more to figure out if it's gonna work for sure.
Great.
Okay. Very
Is there
cool.
any way
Very
that
cool.
we can lend support somehow, or is this kind of like a?
These are kind of like each one of you is finding something to do that absorbs all of your time and effort and energy each day.
Got it.
So that is what Will spends this this day working with the captain on doing. But each one of you has something else that you can work to do. The main problems that you all know is, one, you don't know where you're going. Two, you don't know where you are. Three, the ship doesn't work. Four, you don't know how many supplies you have. And five, the ship is incredibly damaged. So there are 5 things that are needing to be taken care of. You know that fixing the spell jamming helm is the last thing that has to get fixed. Everything else has to be done first before you can try to fix that helm.
As one last thing, do I need to roll a percentile again?
Yes, 85 or above.
I don't like how that number keeps getting lower. Oh, I saw the 8 on the die there, but 25.
Okay, you're
it was
good.
Very close to an 85.
Nice. That would have been interesting this early in the game.
All
right, so Will and the captain are preoccupied. What are you 3 doing, and with the crew, and how are you trying to fix those other 4 things?
I'm more than likely organizing repair teams of just the standard crew.
Okay.
Just get stuff. No, this one goes here. That one goes there.
Nice.
Oh, sorry, boss.
Nice. So go ahead and you tell me which of your skills you're using and how that's applicable, and then we'll roll that at disadvantage and see how it does.
Probably since we're probably just patching holes. Probably,
yeah, I mean
just organizing crews and whatnot. Probably. Let's see. Let's go back and forth. Okay, yeah, we're gonna go with just like a persuasion.
Straight up persuasion? Absolutely. Yeah. Go for it.
And that's a disadvantage. So
yes, sir. Does your there's the 20. If you just do that twice, that would be great. There's the 9. Is your spanner's ability applicable in this situation? Double check that language of its magical property.
Inventory. Intelligence modifier. Use the expander to give you advantage. Oh yeah, give an advantage on the skill or ability check. I mean, yeah, if I'm working alongside him.
It gives you advantage, so that would make it just a flat roll. I'm going to let that 20 stand then, and that'll give us our first success. So we have 1 success on where we're going. We have 1 success on repairing the ship. Where we are and the supplies are the main concerns right now, split between the locks.
Yeah, the lock stock.
All right. Well, here's a question. Do we need to do different things? Like, for example, could I assist Lockjaw and remove the disadvantage?
I want to say, yeah. Let's get some good storytelling to it. Let's do, more than just like, oh, I help. And so that way you can get rid of this disadvantage for one thing instead of trying to accomplish 2 things at once. I think that's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. And we have a rapport, so I feel like it's the thing of,
Yeah.
all right, well, if we're gonna be here for a while, we better know how quickly it's gonna take to starve us out.
Oh.
Let's get these stocks all checked.
All right, and Lockjaw is asleep in the vicinity while all the checks are being done. He's just kind of nestled himself into some barrels. But he does say one last thing. He says, "All right, now listen very carefully. I want you all to make sure that if anyone tries to steal any food, you understand that I will be the first to turn to cannibalism. And everyone in this room are the hors d'oeuvres. You start first, all right? And then I'll start eating my way up to the bigger game. I've done it before, I'll do it again. Alright. Now don't bother me while I'm napping. Because I'm using my keen gift nose in order to count, just to double check your work, alright? But they have to be in a meditative state.
Lick Spills. You heard, Lockridge. If you don't want to be the rump that we're serving up for dinner, then you best get to counting.
Sure. I mean, that sounds like a wonderful bit of persuasion to me, but if you want it to be a different one, that's fine. Make that roll. Whichever one of the two of you wants to do it is fine. Make that roll straight up.
Yeah, cool. I'll make the persuasion
Probably
roll.
the bard.
Oh my god, that's only... Can I use my inspiration?
I believe Ellen has her inspiration still.
Yay!
Let's do it again. Maybe they just stand there kind of ha 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 ha, and I'm like, oh, I'm not joking. Get your asses in line.
Oh,
holy shit.
Jesus.
No.
Looks like it'll be a 10, I guess.
That's when we work together.
With the fact that it's the two of you and you are sort of filling the roles that you need to fill, that is your normal role on the ship. 10 was the difficulty for that one that I had in mind anyway.
Great.
So your supplies are in check. So here's the that's all that the rest of the crew is also doing stuff to help. I'm not going to fill our playtime narrating what NPCs do. And sit here and play with myself online. That's the OnlyFans. What you and what Lockjaw and Lockridge do discover, it's good to know, but it's not great news. You can feed the crew for the rest of today, but that's it. There is some water, and in the morning Lana says, look, I can create a little bit for a few of us to drink, but I can't take care of the entire crew on my own. But starting with day 2, which is what we are now on.
Sorry, just before we get to day 2, I'm going to look at Lana and say, all right, Lana, listen very carefully. You and I, we go back a while, all right? We know each other. And I wouldn't ask you this if I didn't think you were going to be comfortable, at least in some way, alright? But there are a lot of bugs on the ship. And that's protein as far as I'm concerned.
Tell you what, hold that thought. I like it. Hold that thought for day 2. Essentially what her spell is able to do is half of the crew can get something to eat and something to drink. So it will slow starvation down. But at the end of the day, the captain, when you tell the captain, realizes it. And then Lockridge and Lockjaw, if you choose to share it with the other officers or any of the rest of the crew. But you guys realize that you very much, as a dead in the water ship, are looking at starving to death.
Can we tighten our belts?
I mean, that's things tight.
Yeah.
Will
Right.
volunteers to stop taking. Will volunteer gives up their rations.
I would take those rations.
All right. So day 2, the heading, placement, repairs, and supplies. Those are our main things. Who's doing what?
Are there creatures in the astral sea?
In the astral sea and in wild space, absolutely there are. And in fact, one thing that you can do just to pass time, and it is not uncommon, is you can actually go fishing in wild space to try to supplement the rations.
That is 100% what I want to do. I want to do this Captain Ahab style. I want to have like the little emergency dinghy, my harpoon, and be like, alright, now listen very carefully. I've heard of the great white salmon, and by thunder, I'll find it. And when we do, we'll kill it and hide it from the others.
I love it. All right, let me look this up real quick. I have it. It is a thing that you do.
Also, can I touch on comfort levels for like whaling? Because obviously, like, big dude on a dinghy with a harpoon. Nope. Okay, good.
I mean,
think
Moby
we're
Dick is
fine
definitely
with
an
I
inspiration.
mean, it's a good thing to check up on because it is a very upsetting part of human history.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah. So.
Yeah.
There it is, astral fishing. Okay, roll a D10 for me, as is everything now, at disadvantage.
All right. D10. I'm going to say that the one on the left is the first roll. All right. So that is a 6.
All right, with a 6, you are able to catch essentially like a little school of small edible fish, and up to 4 people are fed by them. Or one gift, apparently.
Mate.
Yeah, do you? It's the first day of severe rationing. Do you divvy out?
Look, it's
or
every
do
gift for
you-
themselves.
All right.
No, it was very tough because I made like a really like lazy gluttonous character. I think what he'll do is
However you want to do it, we're going to count it as a success for supplies.
Okay. I think for Lockridge, every time Lockridge brings stuff back to the ship, which he will, he will always keep something for himself as well that he doesn't like give out to divvy up, but then we'll also take a cut of what is divvied out normally.
Okay.
So let's say that he's got a secret stash, and in order to like make the stash last, obviously we're not near really a sun, so like drying and jerking food and stuff isn't really a thing, would it be? Or
We could do it with heat.
oh yeah, maybe in the engine room. That's it. Actually, that's what I'll do. So I'll put a little portion aside for myself and one of the engineers who I've got like on the DL to like put the like help make the jerked fish by the engines using the heat from the engines. It's like, but they're not allowed to tell anyone about it, so it's like.
All right, that'll do. That'll a success for supplies. Who else is doing what?
Well, I would like to try and improve morale.
Fantastic.
Since
it is
we may
very
have
needed.
may have the fear of mutiny, if not outright cannibalism. You know, these things play on your mind. You're looking at your crew member across the way, and suddenly all you can see is the blood pumping under his skin, and wonder how quickly will it take for him to roast on the spit. But let's not worry about that. Let's have a sing-song, lads.
I want to say that you definitely, as you were sitting on at the top deck with everybody who's working and repairing the ship, as you think that to yourself, you notice that people have stopped working or looking at you, and you realize that you in fact did say it out loud. And then you say, "Let's have a sing-song."
Let's have a sing-song. All right. It's good to talk about the things in our heads so they don't stay there and ferment. Speaking
Alrighty,
of, have we still got enough booze?
You know where your like half a flask
Where
is,
my
but that's about
stash is.
the
Right.
funny thing about the barrels full of rum
No.
and the fire.
No. It's a sad day.
So I have a question for Ellen.
Sure.
Not Lockjaw.
Yeah.
Are we gonna roll for this little sing song, or are we just gonna do something else?
Do we just do it? Or do we just do it? Do I just do it and then have you judge my performance?
Oh, clearly, yes. That's what it'll be.
Oh God. Okay.
I've been looking forward to this.
All right. Well, everybody, it is a sad day. We've lost our rum reserves. I managed to find a little, so pass round a thimble to each of you men, women, and everything in betwixt. Let's have a little sing-song. Oh, come guess me this riddle. What beats pipe and fiddle? What's hotter than mustard and milder than cream? What best wets your whistle? What's clearer than crystal? What's sweeter than honey and stronger than steam? What'll make the lame walk? What'll make the dumb talk? The elixir of life and philosopher's stone. And what helped Mr. Brummel to build the dang tunnel? Wasn't it protein from old in a show? So stick to the crater, the best thing in nature, for sinking your sorrow and raising your joys. Oh Lord, it's no wonder if lightning and thunder weren't made from the plunder of whiskey, me boys. And everyone raises a glass.
That is absolutely fantastic. I am going to say that almost like a natural 20 will count as 2 successes for repairing the ship. The ship is now structurally able to fly. That is taken care of. So the things that are left are supplies. So our supply situation is still is getting a lot better. The heading for where you need to go and figuring out exactly where you have drifted to are your main concerns now. So Ruin, why don't we go to you? What does Ruin want to spend this next day doing? You sort of oversaw repairs and that's done now. What do you want to work on now as far as
sorry, just a quick question. Was Ruin or Will in the audience?
I mean, I think everybody knew this was going on upstate on the top deck. So I think sort of in the dark starlight, it's like you're playing like a concert during the Northern Lights. I think sort of everybody sort of kind of gathered for the last little bit of that song and lifts everybody's spirits. Yes.
Can I then give an inspiration to, who needs it more? I'll let between the two of you decide.
Probably the navigation.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Okay, so we'll give inspiration to Will. So you've got inspiration when we get to you. Ruin, between where you're going or where you've drifted to, what do you want to work on?
Probably where we're headed.
Okay. Then yeah, you can actually with that, like if you guys want to all focus on that, you can help Will with that. It will negate the disadvantage and he has inspiration. So he can actually roll that with advantage. Or no, inspiration will give you a D6.
Yeah.
D6. So it's a straight roll plus a D6 if you want to help Will.
Everyone?
All right.
Yep. All
Okay,
hands on
sweet.
deck.
All right, so Will, let us know what you're doing, and then Ruin, tell us how you help with it.
All right. Well, now that we figured out that this comet might be the best bet, it's going to be pulling out the 3-dimensional sextants and things like that to try and figure out with how far we've traveled, with the corkscrew, how many days we've been traveling, where exactly we are in the astral sea or in wild space. In relation to this comet, so we can then figure out how to start angling ourselves to intersect with it in some manner.
Alrighty, that sounds absolutely perfect. You've got your astrolabe that's there. What is the skill that you're using with that? Go ahead and roll it. Straight roll. Plus modifier plus 1d6.
As much as I would love for that to be investigation, it's probably a survival check. So yeah, just a straight roll. I've got the inspiration. I use guidance as well. Let's see how this goes.
We could say that it's off of investigation. You're using all of your charts and your equipment instead of the stars. So investigation still works for me.
I'll take it. That's a better roll for me. Well, 1 second. We've also got some other things to add to that. So we have guidance, which I mentioned. Where are you?
Guidance should give you a D4.
So guidance adds 4 to that, and then D6 inspiration.
We're up to 11.
Gets us up to a 17.
17 will do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have a strong understanding of where you are, which is essentially outside the last of the sort of you made it a lot farther than you thought you would and where you've drifted off to. So you're really strongly handled there. Absolutely. That is fantastic.
We were making really good time before we were dead in the water.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens. Okay, all of that handles really well. At the end of our first day, okay, so without giving anything away, because I know some people have their own little secrets for their character, everybody basically from starvation, dehydration, and exhaustion takes 7 points of damage.
Ugh.
And like, you're not able to rest well enough to heal this damage until the ship is fully repaired.
Well.
So yeah, that is a rough
hard
day.
times ahead.
So is that in addition to the damage that we'd taken from the fight a couple days ago, or is this the like new damage?
This is our first day, so you would have healed back to your top.
Okay.
So yeah, if we look at, let me move us all back over here so we can see it. But yeah, if you're all at full health,
we're just 7 off our full health now.
You're just 7 off of your full health, and I'm just moving all of you guys onto the quarter deck here, just to make things easier to see.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Damn it! No.
Alrighty. So, sweet. It's our next day. Supplies are almost taken care of, and then just our navigation is our place to knock that out next. So, where would we like to deal with that?
I mean, Will's continuing to work on navigation. That's sort of been their baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and hunt a whale.
I would like to join you. Can I join you?
Yes.
You got room in this boat for 2?
Well, quite frankly, I'm already taking up room for 2. All right, come aboard.
Probably.
I do love our jests.
No body shaming on my butt.
No. Yeah, it's probably gonna make you outlast all of us.
Probably. I'll remember you all fondly. especially Thin Jim.
All right, so the
Dim
two of you are
Jim's
going to
already
be
dead.
working on that. Tell you what, make a survival check, Michael. With make it just flat. Make it a flat roll since you've got help there. Just make a straight up survival check first, and we'll see where that goes.
Oh,
A natural 20.
delicious.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Alright, I'm hunting away, I am.
So what you are able to do is, while it isn't a whale, there are these massive creatures out in the astral sea that are they look like whales, but they're large enough that like small towns can live on the backs of them. You don't catch one of those. It's bigger than your ship. But you
Come on.
are able to hunt. So there are these creatures called in wild space called scavers. They're sort of a cross between sharks and eels and like a beluga whale or a killer whale sized, an orca sized. So you catch a gray scarver. The thing's almost as large as the little dinghy that the ship would be able to house, and that actually will feed the crew for the rest of the day. So that is going to lower the die that I roll to look at your sort of exhaustion and starvation damage for the end of the night. You're gonna take less damage because of that.
Fantastic.
Yep.
You do it.
Especially because a good portion of it goes missing.
So the supplies are taken care of. That doesn't mean that your supplies are okay, but you now understand the level and what you need to do between the two of you. So Will, you're dealing with.
I was going to ask, in addition to that, would there be any way? I know that we're not really built for it, but would there be any way to like grab or harvest or process like any other materials from this creature? Like, I don't know if it's got like unique.
There's teeth and skin and stuff like that. It's a survival check, just like skinning any other kind of creature. If you want to make another survival check at disadvantage,
yeah, let's do it. I mean,
we could.
Why not?
Yeah, we could have blubber for burning, for for candles, for oil, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right, so that's an 8.
At an 8, you kind of just you kind of mangle the thing pretty bad, and there might be a couple of teeth for a souvenir. There's nothing really usable that you're able to pull out of it.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll give most of it to Lana, and I'll let Lockjaw in on the little secret with the engineer. I'll be like, right, now listen very carefully. This is just for us, right? Just a tiny little snack every once in a while. It's not going to hurt anyone.
Well, as long as you keep bringing more on board, I'm all right with this. The second that we stop catching, your secret stash might have to go. Tough but fair.
It was at that moment Lockridge decided to kill Lockridge.
I was like,
yeah, harpoon.
All right, I'm going to need you to leave the engineering room for a second. Me and Lockjaw have to talk for a bit.
Talk with our fists.
Alrighty. Will, your navigation check. How are you doing it? And we'll get that roll.
So we've done a pretty good job of figuring out where we are in wild space. We have a plan for catching up with this comet. So this time we are going to look into a way to just, if possible, briefly ignite the plasma ring for a burst of speed to get our course to where it will hit or come into line with the comet, or basically like just a brief moment of propulsion to get us moving in the right direction, even though we know we won't be able to sustain it.
Okay, yeah. So you start to gather all of this stuff and do that. You know that the ring is essentially going to be control. The helm will have to be repaired once that's done, which is the last step in all of this. So as you start to gather and prep and plan and all of that kind of stuff, let's make the roll to make that happen.
Is that going to be an Arcana check? Or
Let's do that off of Arcane, yeah.
Okay. Guidance and disadvantage again.
Mm-hmm.
Blarg. Well, so that is
Oh dear.
6 plus 4 is 10.
Okay.
And 1 second, let me just see if it's a different day.
Yes.
I don't necessarily trust that 10 to be enough, so I'm gonna do knowledge from a past life. 13.
13. You know how it works. Percentile and 80% now.
You have had a rich and varied past life, sir.
56.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to not having to rely on that ability nearly as much in future sessions.
So as the end of this day falls, everybody take 4 points of, we're just calling it starvation. It's lower because we actually were able to eat. Dehydration is setting in. You're still sleeping in essentially like a heavy fog day full of smoke. So like it's just like if you remember the early 90s, imagine just living in a smoking bar. Like it's the worst on a Friday night. So like things are still taking their toll pretty roughly. But as the third day dawns, you know a few things. One, that the helm is ready to start to work to be repaired. So we need some successes there, but everyone can kind of chip in to help repair the helm. In the night, there are screams, and you find in one of the crew quarters, there was someone who was just on watch in the middle of the night. You know, it's a skeleton crew, but you find a crewman in the storage, the back storage deck, towards the on the second level, towards the rear of the ship. You find him dead. There are small puncture wounds and burn marks across his body.
Huh. Well, looks like maybe one of those critters. Either we didn't do a good enough job ratting them out, or one's bred, or who knows what. That looks like a spider bite.
There was one more in the cabin, or in the near the front of the ship, that had me webbed up when things got a bit when we were starting to deal with the fire, but I figured it must have gotten taken care of since no one had seen it or around the ship since then. It's sort of hard to hide a 5-foot wide spider.
Oh, it's been like 3 days as well. I mean, you think someone would have heard it or noticed it?
Well, they're good at hiding those things. You can't trust these creatures. Look at their cold, dead eyes. I say we man out. Put together a train of men, and leave no stone unturned on this ship.
And
So that
I was going to say, all right. And in fact, I think I've got a good idea to motivate everyone as well. And I'll whisper to Lockjaw, because Lockridge isn't the favorite person on the ship, it's like stuff. But he will offer some beautiful fillets from the sea beast that he had kept for himself to the person who can kill, who brings down the spider. They get the fillet.
Excellent.
Okay.
Well, here's your incentive.
Nice. So the captain sort of orders that'll be portion of the crew that will be working on that, as well as working to get the helm itself ignited and rolling. So the the helm itself, the Captain Grawl, she sort of goes over to it, and you see that she sort of goes through the process of sitting in it and closes her eyes for a couple of minutes, and you can tell that essentially what she's doing is trying to attune to the broken chair, and when her eyes sort of pop open and are sort of glowing this teal light, which you recognize as the same color that the runes are, and the runes sort of start to spark and fizz, but not fully lit up. She cries out that she says, "I need more power to make this work." She needs spell slots in order to make this push to get the helm working. So between abilities or straight up spell slots for this day, who can contribute to this? Her teeth are gritting, so she can't really have a conversation, but you have the idea that the higher the spell slots, the better for this.
I have 2 second spell slots I can give up.
Alrighty. Okay, so starting Ellen with Lockjaw, what does this look like as you sort of channel through you into the captain to level? What level are they? Level 1?
2.
2 level 2 spell slots. What does that look like?
I think he kind of like psychs himself up a little bit, that it's almost like he needs to get the blood pumping. A little bit of kind of like beating on the chest. He grabs the captain's head and kind of like forehead to forehead, just like screams into her face.
All right, yeah, she opens her mouth and she starts like screaming back, like this weird almost sports team moment of 2 athletes screaming at each other to psych each other up. And you see about half a dozen of the runes around the dais burst into this glowing teal light. Will, what would you like to contribute?
As this is happening, will sort of walk up to the side of the helm and lay a hand on the captain's shoulder in a way that anyone who he's ever cast guidance on would recognize as sort of the standard of what they tend to do. But as they do it, with their other hand, they sort of clasp this the journal that they always keep at their side, and anyone who's looking closely can see the almost like filigree etchings across the spine that look like sort of twisting vines and leaves glow very faintly.
Nice.
Almost like it almost looks like a trick of the light or something if there was other light around before it fades. And that'll be 2 level 2 spell slots for me as well.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, so as you do this and as people sort of watch this happen, it's like there's a strange light source that isn't here, that sort of plays off of Will's hair and skin, and at times his hair looks like it's made out of foliage, and then it looks normal again. His fingers wrapped around the captain's shoulders look like vines and willow branches, but then they look like his hands again. You then can see at the foot of the stairs, Lana is too big to actually leave the ship. She can't actually get up the stairs. But you can see that she sort of has wedged herself up as much as she can, and she's holding out one of her hands. And you can see just this twisting vine growth that grows and snakes across the deck of the ship and wraps around the chains that had burned and scorched, that keep the chair in place. These vines wrap around that as well. And your magic ignites the rest of the runes on the dais, and then as the vines from Lana's magic wrap around the chains and the base of the chair, you see the chair start to float and shift again, like it's on a turbulent sea, like it normally does. And sparking in the space above you, there's this great ring of fire that just ignites around the ship. The fog and smoke of the air glowing, and everybody falls just right on their asses as the ship lurches forward in one great push in the direction of what will hopefully be a replenishment of air and then possibly supplies as you reach your destination. The tension, the G forces press everybody against the back wall of the little ring where the Spelljammer helm is. You can your skin pulls taut. You can feel the blood pooling at the back of your skull. Vision starts to darken for a number of you. There are a couple of crewmen that go flying off of the side as this sudden acceleration pushes the ship forward, and then a loud crack, the sound of thunder and stone splitting and magical rent and wood snapping as the chair, the helm that the captain is sitting on, cracks in half. And the ship rockets forward on the trajectory, the telemetry laid in by Will and Ruin. And we'll find out how that goes next week with the end of chapter 1 for The Flight of the Northwest.
Woo!
Oh, snap.